Wow, even those guys are throwing that in there. I like how many people, by the way, associate that Kid Rock clip with this show. Because I can't tell you how many times, because everybody, their mother now is having fun with that clip. It's a funny clip. And we might have gotten on it early, but I can't tell you how many messages I got over the break where people would send me something and they go, hey, they're doing your bit. I go, that's not my bit. It's a clip from a Kid Rock song that we started to beat into the ground before we left because we thought it was so funny.
Yeah, it's everywhere, and it's hilarious, though.
Yeah, everybody's using it because it's so dumb and
so
funny.
So dumb.
Ain't nobody gonna tell me how to live.
I mean, I say it around my house. Somebody will say something I don't like, and
Right.
ain't nobody gonna, because it's fun. I think that I feel like the furor, if you will, over that song might have died down. I don't think the song really got much traction. I think, in fact, Kid Rock has dropped another song. Alla Effin' Bama was the one that he dropped over our break. Because Kid Rock, wordsmith that Bob Ritchie is, Alla Effin' Bama.
He's just good, man. He just got...
Well, listen, once you've got your crowd, just drill down into what you know they like.
And what did they like?
Alla Effin' Bama.
Bama.
That's right. And
Nobody gonna tell me how to live.
right. I mean, that was basically him taking that Canadian band song already and just putting his dumb lyrics to it. No shame in that game. If you watch the show at alancoxshow.com, raise a glass for Cork Florpenhoff, who has helped out today in the video department. Florpenhoff? Cork Florpenhoff.
Florpenhoff.
Yeah.
He's doing a great job.
On the subject of people apologizing, Andy Cohen apologized for making fun of Ryan Seacrest. The dumbest apology ever. Hey, I'm really sorry I made fun of Ryan Seacrest. Why should you be the only one who hasn't done that, by the way? But Andy Cohen got drunk. Patton Oswalt, I saw this happen over the break, and I go, this is not going to end well for him. He just posted a picture of him and Dave Chappelle. And I thought, I see what he's doing here, because he and Chappelle are both comics. They're pals.
They've known each other since they started.
Known each other a long time, but you knew the way this was going to go, and Patton Oswalt, he and Dave Chappelle had shows the same night. I think these were New Year's Eve shows. And Patton Oswalt, they were both in Seattle. In different venues, obviously. Patton Oswalt was at McCaw Hall, 3,000-seater, right? Patton Oswalt's not doing arenas.
He's doing great, yeah.
He's doing fine, but he's doing theaters.
Theaters, yeah. But that's a big theater to do, too.
Chappelle's over at the Climate Pledge Arena, which is about 18,000 people. And he invites Patton Oswalt over to do a set on his show. I don't know. Listen, these guys are pals. I don't know. Patton Oswalt he's a specific taste when it comes to comedy. You either like him or you really, really don't like him. And so he went over and did a set or whatever, and he posted on his Instagram, if you follow him there, and on his Twitter. I had a great time with Dave Chappelle, and what a way to end the year. I did my own show, and then went next door, and he's a genius, and what a buddy of mine, and we've known each other for 35 years. And, of course, everybody was mad at Patton Oswalt because you can't like Dave Chappelle right now. And as I looked at these photos, I was like, ooh, something's going to happen. And I'm surprised it took as long as it did. Because then Patton Oswalt had to go, hey, guys, listen, I'm an ally and blah, blah, blah. And I love Dave Chappelle, but I don't agree. You got to do these contortions.
Yeah.
And that's why when people are so surprised when comics who get in trouble double down, they're so surprised when they double down because the alternative is continuously apologizing. There's never an apology that's good enough. So they're like, why do it? Everybody's mad because Louis C.K. has a special out or something. They're like, he didn't even...
Nominated for a Grammy.
For a Grammy, yeah. Right. He's nominated for a Grammy. They're all mad.
He was like, "Well, I apologize if you're just going to get a Grammy."
Mm-hmm. And again, I don't think he cares about Grammy, but these people that are saying, oh my God, Louis C.K. put out another album of comedy, and he didn't even apologize. Yeah, well, I mean,
what he does.
What's he gonna do?
I do agree that we just need to take an apology and just keep going with our lives because celebrity lives are not.
A lot of people do. A lot of people do. A lot of people say. Huh?
Too many don't.
That's fine. Well, I don't know how many. It's just I think it's
I want exact numbers.
525,000. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. So, yes, Patton Oswalt had, because he had the temerity to call Dave Chappelle the funniest comedian he'd ever met. And he said, for all the things he's helped me evolve on, I'll always disagree with where he stands now on transgender issues.
But, okay, so do liberals not enjoy South Park? Because South Park is widely inappropriate, and I still think
These liberals don't enjoy anything.
I don't think it's a liberal conservative thing. It's a woke thing.
But
There are plenty
woke people?
of liberals who are not down with the woke thing. There are plenty of.
Okay, but are there conservatives who are overly woke and I mean,
I'm not saying
you're not
that.
going to see that.
I'm not
It is
saying
a
that.
liberal problem.
Well, but not all liberals are woke.
No, but all woke people are liberal.
Correct. But that's you're right. But that's still a distinction to make.
Yeah.
Right. That's the distinction I'm
facts.
making. It's a subset. People think that everyone who's a liberal is like super woke. That is not the case.
Right.
Alan, do you know where I stand on this subject about being woke?
Ain't nobody gonna tell me how to live.
No, I also know how you. I know how you feel about those things. And I wish I could. Oh,
Bill Squire's amazing.
One of the funniest guys ever.
He's not woke at all.
uh-huh.
There you go.
Bert and Bobby Kelly will tell you if you ask them. Ask either one of them. Hey, how woke is Bill Squire?
Not woke at all.
Not at all.
Well, and I've talked about this to other comics and like on podcasts and stuff where it's like, if I'm performing in a very conservative area, somewhere like Texas, I understand that there might be, they don't necessarily agree with the things that I say, but I know that no one is going to get mad at me and try to cancel my career because of something I said. They're going to be like, well, she was kind of funny. I didn't like what she said about anxiety, or that's not a real disease, or things like that. But if like you're performing in a super liberal place, there are different precautions where you're like, I don't want to upset anybody to the point where someone's going to write a blog in Portland about me.
Well, that's like
you know?
when celebrities openly hang out with like a Trump supporter. Like it was a big deal when Ellen sat next to George Bush. But if George Bush were to sit next to LeBron James, it wouldn't be a big deal. Like he could go sit. They're both rich. They both have had.
So wait, is George Bush the Trump supporter in this situation?
No. I'm just saying if a celebrity who is supposed to be liberal they have a friend who is a Trump supporter and they're photographed with that friend, you like it would cause problems. But I just used the
I have
example.
photos with my dad.
Right.
But that's but
My brothers.
I think family always gets a pass because you don't control who you're born in, like what family you're born into. But with friends, they're like.
But you can also make the argument that like you don't have to support them. You can walk away from them. I've seen people willing to make that sacrifice to walk away. So for them, it was a big enough issue that they said, my family is supportive of stuff that I don't believe in, so I'm going to cut them out of my life. And those are usually the people that are going to be upset over what you say.
Well, screw me then.
And it's all dumb because who cares anymore? We're all going to die.
I'm just saying,
we're all going to
No,
die.
overly woke people are annoying.
Well, I'm just saying,
Well, we've always known that we're all going to die. It's just a matter of
my clip about my son coming out as transgender has 5 million views on TikTok, and there are people that are like, "This is the best. I love this." So much praise, and then there's still people that are like, "This is very transphobic. He's just blah blah blah," and then it's just like you can't make everybody happy. You just can't.
You can't make everybody happy, but there is a group of people that
Right.
no matter what anyone ever
Well, that's
does,
what I'm saying is like
anywhere on the spectrum, they're not going to be happy.
Right. That's you'll find that the most in comedy. Like you'll find those people in comedy because I mean Jim Gaffigan's special, he makes fun
It's
of
fantastic.
people. It's fantastic.
Comedy Monster's great.
But
And he doesn't shy away from the topics, but it's the
Right.
way that he presents them.
Yeah.
And-
Right. But I'm sure there are people that are. He talks about marching bands, and I'm sure there's people that are in marching bands. They're like, this is actually not how it goes. You're really
Dude.
diminishing what marching bands can do and what they mean to a society.
I posted a clip yesterday on both TikTok and Instagram where I told the guy there was a girl in the front row of our show who had a bandage on her
Such a
nose.
funny line.
And everyone kept saying, "Oh, did he hit you? Did he give you that bandage on the nose?" She's like, "No, I had a nose job, whatever." And I said to him, I said, "I don't think you beat her. The only thing you look like you beat is levels of Fortnite." And it was just a fun off the cuff thing. And then I had people commenting like, actually, Fortnite doesn't have levels. I'm like, you're right. That was the point of this clip. Was my accuracy to the Fortnite community. I apologize.
I knew
funny.
those Fortniters were going to come for you.
They're worse on TikTok where
Yeah.
people are like,
I don't know anything about Fortnite,
Neither
so
do I. It was
yeah.
just the first dorky game that came into my mind, and it was like an off the cuff moment. So I just said it, and people are like, "That's not how you play Fortnite." I'm like, "Sorry, guys."
But at least that, unless it's coupled with "you should kill yourself," that's a funny. I know they're deadly serious,
so
but
upset.
that's what makes it funny. It's harmless.
Yeah.
They're taking something personally that's completely immaterial. Who cares?
Right.
That's different than like, go kill yourself.
Yeah.
From, you know.
Well, you get those two.
That's
But I'm
not how
saying you can
Fortnite
upset
works.
you can
always
upset
upset
any
somebody.
group of people is going to be mad because you took their thing and messed with it.
Because everyone has access to everyone else now.
Right.
I have a story about getting a guy holding a knife to me in the Philippines, and somebody said, "Well, that's what you get for going to the Philippines and trying to turn them." And I'm like, I was just walking down the street. I wasn't even in my missionary gear.
That's what you get.
What were you wearing, Bill?
Yeah. You were asking for
That's
it.
what you
you
get for
should
being in another country.
That's what. Maybe you should smile more. And people wouldn't pull knives on you.
There's an anchor who played a voicemail from a Karen. Did you watch this?
No, I just love that.
This Korean news anchor from Seattle, or I don't know where this was, and she got a voicemail about a woman complain. Oh, this is in St. Louis. KSDK, anchor named Michelle Lee, L-I, and she made reference to her Asian heritage. She was doing a New Year's broadcast, and she's talking about how, like, we love New Year's in my home because my mom would make dumplings and all this great food from home, and we would talk about the new year. Just great reminiscence of her childhood and growing up as an Asian American. And this woman calls and is like, "I was offended because who cares?" And so
I was offended because who cares?
well, you know what I mean?
Clearly do. You know?
So this woman, doesn't accompany the video or anything. She's a news anchor, so she's got to be cool about it. But she's kind of playing the voicemail on her TikTok and rolling her eyes or whatever,
This evening, your Asian anchor mentioned something about being Asian and Asian people eat dumplings on New Year's Day, and I take offense to that, because what if one of your white anchors said, "Well, white people eat this on New Year's Day"? She's being very Asian, and she can keep her Korean to herself.
She was being very Asian, and she should keep her Korean to herself. And what sucks about that?
There's a lot of people who feel that way.
No, that's not an old lady. That's not a 75.
Probably in her 40s, 50s.
Yeah, she sounds young, and it'd be one thing if like, I saw this girl on the news talking about dumplings. That's a whole other thing you can easily laugh off. This is like a younger woman who's going, first of all, that false equivalency that everybody loves to throw out. What if white people said, she's not white? Doesn't matter. She's talking about how she grew up. And if a guy was like, we grew up, we had pizza for New Year's, nobody would complain about that.
But you say we have pork in sauerkraut.
Yeah.
And no one cares.
Right.
I try
because pork and sauerkraut is delicious.
My sister literally just made it yesterday. I was like, I try to. I feel like there's no excuse. Like, not excuse isn't the right word, but like, you can educate yourself out of that mentality. Because, like, I remember when I was in high school and I was applying for scholarships, my family members would be like, "Oh, well, there's all black scholarships, and what if there were all white colleges?" Like, seriously, like that. And so I was young, and I would parrot that, and I would just be like, "Oh, well, this is what my family thinks. My family's right about everything," But as a 17-year-old, and then as you grow up, it's your responsibility to learn that that's not okay to say things like that. So when I hear women or men or whatever that are clearly adults where I'm like, did you just never question anything? Do you not pay attention? Like, I get confused on how you get to that point in life and still, because sure, to a certain extent, it's parroting what you were told.
But then it's doubling down.
But that's what I'm saying.
We know people like that. You know, you have family members like that.
I know.
Where instead of expanding their horizons, they go, no, it's actually way worse than what I thought in the past. It's actually a real problem.
I just can't wrap my mind around
well,
that.
listen, someone has to want to expand their horizons. And a lot of people don't want to do that. And if you don't want to do that, that's you. That's how you'll live, whatever, okay? But to pick up the phone and go, hey, your Korean anchor was talking about eating dumplings, and that made me mad.
That's wild. It's just
wild.
wild.
It's like this is a woman that probably has kids that she's not paying attention to because she's on the phone
to make
leaving
phone
a voicemail
call. Yes.
for the
Now,
so
I wonder if
you're
those...
just missing so many great things in life.
Oh, yeah.
If that's where your brain is.
And one of them's dumplings.
Dumplings are so good.
Dumplings are so good.
I'm wondering
I love dumplings.
also if those people live in areas where they don't know any person of color. So she's probably mad that there's an Asian lady on the news to begin with.
Probably.
You know what I mean?
And St. Louis, I was on the air in St. Louis for a number of years. St. Louis is a very segregated city.
Right.
Primarily between black and white. But there's an Asian community there. And, and again, television is very much like radio where it can be very nomadic. So I don't know if this woman is from St. Louis.
She's like, I didn't choose it.
Right.
Right.
I got here from Oklahoma City because St. Louis is a bigger market or
Yeah.
whatever. And hopefully I'll get out of here and go to San Francisco, where I'll fit right in.
Do you think anyone's going to tell that lady on the phone how to live?
Boy, I certainly don't think so.
Nobody gonna tell me how to live.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at how, if you get out of like downtown Cleveland area and get to something like Medina. When I go to Medina, I don't see any black people.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, like if I go to my parents' house, I go to a store around there, no one.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but I mean, I'm surrounded by just, there's a lot of diversity in my day-to-day life.
Yeah.
So if my mom sees a black person, she's like, what the heck?
Oh my God. What? I wonder where they live.
Not even like, but just because they're not around that
I didn't know
community.
your mom was racist.
You listen to anything?
Did you see that?
It doesn't look like a racist. It looks like you're about to commit a crime.
But it doesn't make you racist to be ignorant about
Ignorant.
another culture. It makes you racist if you hate them because
Right.
they're something else.
And you treat them poorly. Like,
That's
it's
not.
just
I know that's a word
surprising to see
everybody.
them around.
I know that's a word
Yeah.
everybody loves to throw around now, but it does mean something specific. First of all, Korean food is fantastic. Don't sleep on that. But yeah, like if you, if I don't know, if you've been fortunate enough to live in a lot of neighborhoods that have a lot of different people living in them, you can pick up a few things here and there. And by the way, living in a diverse neighborhood is not necessarily the cure for that stuff either.
No.
It
There are
makes
some
it
people,
worse.
there
That
are
was
some
my
people-
family.
Yeah, there are
See how
some
they
people
actually live.
Dude.
Well,
Or
there's some
they're
people
like-
who
Go ahead.
hate those kinds of people because they were like, oh, I grew up around all these,
Yeah.
So you're like, yeah, but that means that family were a bunch of dicks, not because they
Yeah.
looked however they looked.
Well, I grew up in a very mixed neighborhood, and it was like we had all the same stuff that everyone else on our block had. Everyone had kind of crappy houses and BS cars and too many kids that they couldn't afford. Like everybody was socioeconomically like the same. We were all poor people, but it was like in my house, it was always making fun of like the black families around us. I'm like, I would look at it, we're doing the same stuff they were, like my parents or whatever, my brothers, and then it's like those things.
But that's
I'm not black.
But that's where
That- well,
white
Cody and
supremacy
I-
comes from. Is where you go.
At least I'm not black. Cody
Yes.
and I have had that conversation, and you actually said that to me when I was like, I don't understand. Like, we've all come from. It was when my dad called in a couple years ago, and when you asked him if I was dating a black guy, if he would, how he would feel about that, and my dad on the air said that would be a hard pill for me to swallow. But Cody and I had a conversation after that, and you were the one who pointed that out to me. When you
Yes,
were
because I only know because I get it from the black people. Like I get called a houseboy or a coon. Like that's literally what they call me. To a white person, I am black. To black people, I am white.
Yeah.
And I have walked this line my entire life. And if I try too hard, it looks like I'm pandering. If I don't try at all, it looks like I don't care. So I'm.
And gay dudes are mad at him. Can't win.
Yeah, I'm a racist.
So you went
either
with
way.
not trying at all?
Yeah, it's fun.
When you explain it like that, I fully understand.
Just my
lay down and do a
cholesterol
podcast.
There's a classic LBJ line. Lyndon Johnson, former president of the United States.
Not
Long
LeBron
day.
James.
Not LeBron James, no. The classic line, if you can convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you're picking his pocket. If you give him somebody to look down on, he'll empty his pockets for you. And that's essentially what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're surrounded by all different kinds of people. You're like, well, we're all in the same boat, but we're still a little bit better. Yeah.
And I was like, we're kind of the worst on the street. What are you talking about?
So Johnson wasn't always on the phone ordering slacks.
Where my nuts hang.
Y'all made me some real lightweight slacks. Make these a half-inch bigger in the waist. Make the pockets at least an inch longer. My money and my knife and everything fall out. Wait just a minute. Now, another thing, the crotch down where your nuts hang is always a little too tight because they cut me under there. Let's see if you can't leave me about an inch from where the zipper ends round under my back to my bunghole.
See, he would always notice if somebody was picking his pocket because his pockets were tailored.
They were too
Precisely
short.
where he wanted it, cutting where his nuts hang. That's right. I would love to call a tailor and
Play that.
not play it,
Say
recite that to a guy making some tailored pants and see what he would come back with. Because it's an old-timey way to talk to a,
But it is like all. Those are items that are like things that he wants, so they're like part of his wish list of pants.
He's got nuts, he's got a knife.
Right.
You got to accommodate both of them.
Well, three actually.
All three. Both nuts
The nuts.
and my knife. Some days I'm carrying two knives, so that makes two nuts, two knives. That's the name of my autobiography.
Nuts, nice, and bunghole.
LBJ. I got to take a break. You want to get a text 35192 to do that. You can listen wherever you are on the iHeartRadio app.
The Alan